Students are a lot like trees, only I'd advise against cutting us open to find out how old we are. All you have to do is look at the bags under our eyes to count how many semesters of university we've been in. In a few studies, drinking and alcoholism has been some students' favorite pastimes in dealing with stress, but I'd kind of advise against doing that unless you like writing midterms with hangovers. If you found this video, you've most likely just enrolled in university and want to know some useful tips on how to manage stress. Hopefully these simple pieces of advice are useful for you because I would have loved to have them in my first year.
Welcome to the gray area where things aren't always black and white. I'm going to be giving you some post-secondary survival tips from a third-year student's perspective. The Eisenhower Matrix is good for students who feel like their head is going to explode because they have to balance so many ongoing projects. One of the most important parts that aren't course-specific to university is your ability to manage and organize your time effectively so you don't burn yourself out. The matrix works by divvying up your workload into manageable sections based on importance and timeliness. I do these sections in a Z pattern from the top left to the bottom right, and it makes organizing projects easy. In the first square, I put things that are urgent and important here. The items in this square are usually important course exams or projects and have a substantial grade. The upper right square is typically reserved for important things that aren't time sensitive. Tasks in this section are reserved for later. This helps you strategize your schedule because it will give you a good understanding of when to do required readings or when to start preparing for a distant exam. The third square are things that are time sensitive but are unrelated to the task at hand. Stuff in this square is usually not school related at all and only gives the illusion of being busy. The bottom right square was originally intended for things to avoid. However, I've taken on a more positive use for this area and have started using it as a reward section. After completing a few tasks in each other square, give yourself some time so you don't burn yourself out. Even if it's for an hour, do some me time. A recent study has shown that post-secondary institutions have difficulty sometimes attracting students. Now, whether that's in content for a specific course, or it's actually just getting people to enroll, that part doesn't matter. What matters the most is that you're enjoying what you're studying. You retain the information better if you have fun. I've done papers that have explored interpersonal conflict in Red Dead Redemption 2. I've studied the rhetoric in Fallout New Vegas. I co-authored a quantitative research paper that analyzed a video game's effectiveness to replace textbooks. I even did this really cringy presentation about the importance of nice computer keyboards in my first year. I mean, it sucked, but it was entertaining and I enjoyed it. I'm not trying to brag. I'm simply trying to say that if you don't like a certain topic and you force yourself to do a boring project that has no appeal to you, you're going to hate every second of it. It's going to make the essay feel awful. Integrate your hobbies. Even if it's in a limited capacity, like mentioning it once in passing, you'll find yourself much more attracted to that course. One of the biggest issues with beginning university is that overwhelming new environment feel. You might not know anyone in post-secondary, and you might feel isolated as a result. Social integration, or the lack of, is one of the biggest influencers for students who contemplate dropping out. Essentially, what this means is you feel a lot better if you've got some familiar faces in your classes. If you try to make at least one friend in each of your courses, you'll feel a lot more grounded in whatever course you're enrolled in. Study sessions have been proven to be effective when it comes to remembering lectures or topics. They can be simple, small groups of 2 or 3 people that get together after class and hang out. Not to mention, if you sleep in, overwork yourself, or need to take a day off, you can simply ask your friend what you missed that day, and if they can forward you their notes. The only caveat to this is that you should be able to return the offer if they miss class too. Having a friend in each of your classes gives you that social support and the I belong here feeling. Networking and making friends in university seems like a rather obvious tip, but let's be honest. This is because many students lose sight of the bigger picture when they're in their studies. Make sure to apply these tips that I've given you whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, and you'll not only survive, but you'll have one of the best times of your life.
So if you've been enrolled in university now for a few years, chances are these sort of tips aren't very useful for you because you've already figured them out. However, if you're a first-year student and any of these tips have given you a bit more confidence, I'm glad to hear it. That was the whole point to this video. My name is Dylan.
Thank you for visiting the gray area.
And stay safe out there.